Hey everybody, it is your boy Tuxy Boyo. I tried to wait long enough to record this to the point where nobody on my block is still popping fireworks. I really hope I did it right. I apologize in advance if you hear any of that in the background. I'm taking countermeasures to prevent that sort of thing. But with all that out of the way, here we are talking about The Last of Us 2 again. Now, same disclaimer as before, I have not played the game. I have absorbed a really good portion of the story, and I'm only absorbing things in relation to what I'm actually discussing regarding the story. I'm not gonna try to comment on the midpoint of the game, where Abby and Ellie have their confrontation, because that's not relevant. If I'm gonna just be talking about the ending of the game, I'm going to talk about all the things surrounding the end of the game, which is all stuff that I have seen, I have taken it in, I've processed it, I've thought about it. I haven't made a single video about this game that was fueled by blind hate of the game, at least blind, unwarranted hate towards the game. The video I made about Joel was not from a place of hate. I was just upset at what happened to Joel, as I feel I have a right to be, as someone who played the first game multiple times and got very attached to Joel. Same way I feel about this ending, kind of. I have it pulled up here, but let's talk about the events that lead up to this point in the game, right? Abby and Ellie have their showdown. It doesn't go very well for Ellie. Abby decides not to kill Dina. It's like, okay, we're just gonna separate. We're done. We don't have to go on this this back and forth anymore. Ellie and Abby are done, basically. Ellie pretty much just has to move on and accept that she did not get revenge for what happened to Joel. But some time goes on, she hears, hey, we found Abby. So, it's time to go get her, because she can't actually move on. Even though she's got this house, this farmhouse, the farmhouse that Dina was talking about earlier in the game. She's got the house, and she's got a kid, she's got a life, She's turning her back on all of it because she just can't let Abby go on, So she goes after her again. And then they have their whole final showdown, and in the moment that she's about to kill Abby, she thinks of Joel and stops. A lot of people are comparing that to the Martha segment from Batman vs. Superman. I don't think that's a fair comparison. It's not new information suddenly being thrown into the story for the sake of some dramatic tension to ultimately end the conflict in a peaceful manner. It's Ellie deciding for herself that this is not what Joel would have wanted for her, because even though Joel made some mistakes, Joel did some things that Ellie isn't happy about, Joel only ever did what he thought was best for her. And she's realizing this now. Now, without context, it does feel like the Martha scene, because she's just thinking of Joel. And a lot of people like myself initially, hey, I'm thinking about this person, I'm definitely going to, keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to get revenge for this person that I cared so much about, no matter how much time has passed since then and now. Because when you think about it, Joel died in the middle of the winter. It's pretty not snowy by the time you actually go to Seattle to get revenge, so, But, when all of that goes, because obviously she thinks about Joel, she releases her, and a lot of people are like, well, if I thought of the person, like I said, it would continue to motivate me, or people were thinking of it as this isn't what Joel would do. That's not it either, because Joel absolutely would still kill Abby regardless. Would not kill Lev, but would probably go ahead and still kill Abby when thinking of the person that they're doing it for. Tommy probably still would have killed Abby. Tommy and Joel aren't exactly cut from the same cloth, but as we've seen from this game, they're willing to do a lot of the same stuff. So, if it really came to it, Tommy would probably still make the same decision that Joel would in that situation if one of them was avenging the other. But Ellie decides again, for the second time in the story, that it's not worth killing Abby because of everything. Because initially everything that she had to do to get there and now all of this. So yeah, she lets her go, and she comes back to the house, and it's gone. It's not gone. It's empty. Dina's gone. The child is gone. And then she, you know, she's got 2 fingers missing. Can't play the guitar. She has this conversation with Joel, which is very important.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
It's kind of loud. Hold on. I did like this moment because I'm glad Joel found out that Ellie was lesbian before he died, because it would have seemed kind of weird if he didn't learn one of the only character traits that Ellie has to her. But let's keep watching.
That was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. She just... I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
I love Joel. I don't care what anybody says about what he's done in the past. I still love the character so much.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital.
This is their first time talking about that since then.
My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow you gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
It's not what she wants to hear, but what I like about that line is that it's like, it's the closest to "I love you" that he's ever said to her, at least as far as what's on screen. And I really appreciated that, because it just doesn't seem like something Joel would say, like "I love you" at this point, but that, I feel like, is the best way of him verbalizing how much he cares for Ellie, because Ellie, that is his baby girl at this point.
It's just... I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I'd like to try.
Only ever did his best. The music in this game, the Naughty Dog music in general, man.
I'll see you around.
Yep.
And that's, yup, is the last word Joel would ever say to Ellie. It's important that that is their final conversation that they have before Joel dies. I'm not happy about it, but it is important because it reflects the fact that Ellie and Joel, like, they have this conversation, but they never truly reconcile over what happened. Like, they never completely patch their relationship. Like, everything between the scene over here where he tells her the truth and right now has been really, really rocky. I don't even know how many conversations they've had in that time, but clearly it's not very many. They haven't been very warm to one another. Joel understands, and he's been very patient with Ellie, but she's young. She's, like she said, she felt like her life would have mattered if she had gotten to die at the hospital and be turned into a cure. But it's very clear after seeing this scene that the moment that she thought about Joel while she was killing Abby, that is when she forgave Joel. Like, she forgave Joel. She understands where Abby's coming from. She understands doing this won't bring Joel back. Just like I can't say for certain, but I'm confident that there is a moment in Abby's story where she realizes killing Joel didn't bring her father back. Now, I respect this ending, but I have mixed feelings. Because I feel like if she had gone to the farm and started raising the kid that Dina and Jesse had together, you know, like, because basically she has become Joel and the child has become Ellie. She is raising a child that is not hers, but because of circumstances, that is basically her kid now. She has a very strong attachment to this kid. Obviously, she definitely, clearly loves this child. So, considering that this is a game about perspective, and that's why you have to play as Abby, because it's like, from a certain perspective, anybody can be a bad guy, or anybody can be a good guy. That's the whole point of having you play as Ellie and Abby, such wildly different yet very similar characters in nature. I understand that. But considering that this is a game about perspective, it sucks that having a child was not enough to give Ellie perspective on why Joel did what he did. Because it's like, if you have this person in your life that you care for, that you take care of, it's like, I wouldn't let anything happen to this child. And if anyone had ever told me that they meant to hurt this child, I would stop them. I would do whatever it took to protect my own. It kills me that that moment doesn't happen for her, because it would have been plenty enough, it would have been very strong for that to be the reason that she understands what Joel did. That's why she that's why she forgives him. And you don't have to waste time with her going back after Abby. Because I've seen a lot of people compare it to, like, oh, No Country for Old Men, like, you must not have liked that ending because it's not what you expected, it's not what it seemed like the story was building to. Or even in the first game, it's like, oh, you spent all this time going for the cure and then you end up not getting the cure. Must have been a waste of time. That's not what makes it a waste of time. What makes it a waste of time is that you stick this extra chunk into the story, this last piece that doesn't really belong there, because Ellie could have reached the same conclusion. She still could have forgiven Joel without having to go after Abby. To decide for a second time, for one reason or another, that it's not worth killing her. That is what makes it feel like it's wasted time. Why does the character have to go through the same type of thing a second time? I know it's different circumstances that lead her to decide it's not worth it. And then the fact that Dina took the kid and left. I understand that, right? I get it. You still haven't moved on, you've let this consume you, and it's not healthy. Like, I couldn't bear the thought of letting you go out there and something happens to you and I have to raise a child alone, that sort of thing. All that, I get it. But if Dina's going to leave with the child, Ellie should have killed Abby. Because if it's all about actions having consequences, then getting the revenge should lead to the consequence of her having to live alone now. Because otherwise, she made a mistake, didn't act, she didn't do those actions that would have precipitated those consequences, and therefore you don't have to live with that. Like, it's kind of like a having your cake and eating it too thing, right? Because in theory, if this whole game is about actions having consequences, Ellie, yes, should have killed Abby. Or Abby should have killed Ellie, because Ellie, a lot of people are saying that Joel deserved what happened to him, or that he doesn't deserve like a dignified, heroic type of death because he's a bad person or he's done bad things. Ellie, over the course of this game, for the sake of revenge, not even for the sake of survival like most of what Joel has done, for the sake of revenge, has done stuff that is unquestionably worse than what Joel did, and in significantly less time. I'm not going to say for sure that Joel has never killed a pregnant woman, but Ellie did, and it weighed very heavily on her, and there's no consequence for it. She got to have her happy, peaceful life. You know, she got her happy ending. She threw it away, but she got it. So if she is doing things that are on the same level, if not worse in severity, than what Joel was doing, how come she got even a shot at that happy ending and Joel didn't? You know, like, that's where I have a problem with the ending. It feels, I don't want to say hypocritical, but like I said, it feels like having your cake and eating it too, because you try to play with these themes of, like, oh, forgiveness, cycle of revenge, actions having consequences, but you don't really follow it all through. Like, now, is there room for Dina to forgive Ellie down the road and come back? Sure, but as it seems, that's not going to happen. Like, Ellie forgived Abby and Joel in pretty much the same breath. And I can't say for sure whether or not Abby ended up forgiving Ellie, but very clearly at some point she ended up abandoning killing Ellie because Ellie's alive. She killed Jesse, which a lot of people aren't happy about because it's like, why'd you introduce this new character just to blow a hole in his face? But like, you have all these characters doing all these monstrous things, but there's only consequences for one of them. The consequences Ellie faces are based on actions completely unrelated to the main story of the game. This is what happens here is kind of like an epilogue, like Red Dead 2. You know, like, you could say that the main story ends with Arthur's death, and that everything that happens with John is important because, you know, Micah, Dutch, all that stuff, Sadie, and it does complete the entire story. But if you wanted to stop playing after Arthur's death, you could. Same thing kind of here. Like, if you want to stop playing when, you know, Ellie is like, okay, let's go just live our lives, you could. You know, at least as far as I understand, like, that could be the ending of the story. That's where the story could have ended. A lot of people might feel like that's where it should have ended. But I just, the reason that the ending feels so hollow is because it doesn't feel like it's committing to anything. And that's why I feel like this whole thing was a waste of time. Not because you don't get your revenge, but it's because you decide not to get your revenge, and then you decide to get your revenge, and then you decide not to get your revenge. And then you get punished as if you had gotten your revenge. That's what I don't like. I don't know why Ellie has to have such a bleak ending. I'm sure there's a lot of, like, morality to question about her actions over the course of the game, all that good stuff. I was watching a Jeremy Johns video about the game, and it gave me a new perspective on The Cure, because people keep throwing Joel doomed humanity up at me for not being happy about what happened to Joel. And I want to talk about that, but I don't think it fits here. So those are most of what I think, or those are most of my thoughts regarding The Last of Us 2's ending. I think I got everything that I wanted to say. I really do hope I didn't miss anything. But yeah, I just feel like it doesn't commit, and it misses the theme that it's been spending the entire game trying to set up. And that's why I think the ending falls flat. If you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know. If you want to yell at me because I didn't play the game and I'm trying to judge things that I haven't experienced for myself, whatever, I literally don't care. This is just, I'm observing the story. That's it. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the future. Hopefully I only have to do one more video about The Last of Us, and I'll probably never revisit the franchise on the channel. We'll see. Unless there's, for some reason, a third game, but I don't see that happening. Anyway, that's it, and that's me signing out.